Hi everyone, it's Suzanne. Thank you for joining me. In today's video, I am asking for your help. And specifically, that has to do with a huge stack of YA books. So this video is a bit of a haul, a YA book haul, specifically YA fantasy book haul. And also the question is, for all of these books, should I move them or get rid of them? So I have a big move coming up in a couple months, and I'm going through all the books in my house and trying to decide which of them to take with us and which to leave behind. So I don't want to move all the books in the house. I'm thinking if I can get rid of half the books, which is quite a few books, there'd still be quite a few left to move. So that's my goal, to at least get rid of half the books in the house and, maybe even more. But this video is about this basket. You see this really huge basket. It is full of YA hardcover books. So the majority of these I got on sale at our local chapter's Indigo store, and they were in the clearance bin, and they were like, many of them, $5. Now I see one book, this here. I know this was not in that bin. I pre-ordered this book and I've yet to read it. The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. But the rest of them were, like I said, in a bin for $5, and they just look so incredible. I couldn't resist. But I have yet to even take them out of this basket. I put them in the basket. That was months ago. I think it was around Christmas. But I'm going to share them and see if any of you have actually read these books and what your thoughts are. If you think I should keep them or leave them. Maybe what I need to do is read a chapter or two out of each book to see if it hooks me. I'm not sure. That's a little time intensive. So I thought I'd start here, and if I end up doing that later before we move, then that's great. But I already have a couple of reading challenges like that and some other things coming up with other stacks of books before I leave. I'm not sure how much time I'll have. So enough with the prelude. Let's jump into it. I'm going to share the books with you. So like I said, this one was a pre-order, the Gilded Ones. It says on the back, are we girls or are we demons? Are we going to die or are we going to survive? When this book arrived, I almost dove right into it. I admit what kind of slowed me down was that I watched a couple of reviews about this book, and one in particular spoke about how much violence was in the book, and I just wasn't in the mood at the time. 16-year-old Dika is excited about her blood ceremony, and when it ends up happening, instead of the color that her blood is supposed to be, it runs gold, which is a sign of impurity, and they are certainly ostracized when that happens, if not even murdered. And then this mysterious woman appears and says, you can either stay in the village or you can come and fight for the empire. And I guess there's other girls with the same kind of blood, and they're part gods. Is that what they said? Yeah, so they're near mortals, and she's offered the choice to stay, like I said, at the village or go with the empire. And of course she chooses the latter. And so that's what I know about that one. Love to hear your thoughts if you've read that book. I'm going to try not to say that over and over in this video. I would love your thoughts on any of these books if you've read them. The next one is called Grim Lovelies, and this is by Megan Shepherd. Yeah, see, of course the covers were sucking me in, but the stories sounded great too. Steal the spell, keep the magic, beat the clock. In this book, we meet Anouk, and she envies the human world, where people known as pretties lavish fast cars and high fashions on themselves and have the freedom to fall in love. But Anouk, she can't, because she is a familiar. So she was turned from a animal into a human, and she is called a beastie, and she's there to serve some evil witch until the evil Mada is murdered and found in a pool of blood, and then Anuka is charged with the crime. Again, that is called Grim Lovelies. Next, we have Grace and Glory, which I just realized says the finale to the Harbinger trilogy. And this is by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So because this is the third in a series... Oh, wait a minute. What's happening here? So I think I have thrown all my middle grade in here, because this is Rage and Rune, the sequel to Storm and Fury. So the question is... do I have Storm and Fury, and is it worth reading? My goodness, people, I don't even know. Okay, you know you have too many books when. Okay, so, well, I assume I have book 1 around here somewheres. Yeah, though never assume, I guess. If you've read this book, now I have to admit, I've heard mixed things about Jennifer Armentrout, and it depends, I guess, what kind of book you like. Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts. Feel a little bit embarrassed about that because I don't even know if I have the first one and what they're doing in this basket. So there you go. It tells you how long it's been. Next we have Saving Sin City. Okay, this is was based on, I remember this vaguely, why I picked it up. This is actually based on a true story. All right, so this is Stanford White, one of the most famous architects of the era, whose mark on New York City is second to none, was murdered by Harry K. Thaw in 1906. His death became known as the crime of the century. So that's what this one is about. So this is a real true crime, which I haven't read a true crime, but I think I grabbed it because I love the idea it was set. I love books that are set in New York, so with those as a backdrop. So that's a bit of a different twist. I might be interested in, well, I am interested. That's why I bought it. Anyway, should I keep it, move it, or get rid of it? I don't know. Okay, A Room Away from the Wolves by Nova Ren Suma. It's a pretty cover. Sabina has never forgotten the time she and her mother ran away from home. Her mother promised they would hitchhike to New York to escape Bina's cruel father and start over. But before they could even leave town, Bina had a new stepfather and 2 new stepsisters, and a humming sense of betrayal, pulling apart the bond with her and her mother, a bond Bina thought was unbreakable. So 8 years later, she finds herself on the side of the road again, the city of her dreams calling for her. She has a suitcase and a black eye and a room waiting for her at Catherine House, a young women's residence in Greenwich Village. So this one actually sounds a little bit frightening to me. So this is probably, unless somebody tells me otherwise, I think that that might end up in the definitely leave bin. Yeah, definitely not move. I'm not into scary books, so I'm not sure why I have that in here. Okay, Shimmer and Burn by Mary Tarrant. At first I feel nothing, but then, my gods, the magic ignites beneath my skin, drawing bright white lines of heart that braid around my wrist before darkening to the color of charcoal. And like charcoal, the lines begin to smear, forming thorny peaks as the spell anchors itself to my flesh with a dozen tiny knots no bigger than beads. For one terrifying moment, I feel Bryn's heartbeat echo through my chest before my own heart thunders in reply, screaming to reclaim its territory. The spell cools, turning to ice, hardening like a bracelet of scars. Oh, I love this cover. And I've got it all beat up in here. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So this is Echo North by Johanna Ruth Meyer. So it's a marvelous, enchanting tale about the power of love and stories. And here's what the back says. I ran, the wood and the wind and the dark wheeling around me, my eyes fixed on the white flash of the wolf. He was ever ahead, just out of reach. There was nothing but gnawing, bitter cold, the burn of my lungs, the bursting of my heart. Somehow the snow didn't hinder me. I ran, away from the grasping fingers of the bony trees, away from the cruel wind that sought to snatch me and shatter me against the stars. I ran for a lifetime, and another after that, while the centuries spun away and time slipped into eternity. I became part of the wood, and the wood part of me. So this sounds like beautiful, and this is one I'm definitely going to put in a pile I want to make sure I check out. If you've read it, let me know, but that's definitely in a pile I want to make sure I put a little time into over the next month. Then we have a novel, Impossible Saints by Clarissa Hardwood. So this is about suffragettes and the society they wish to change. And that's a picture of Big Ben there, so I guess it's happening in London. Impossible Saints is a novel that burns as brightly as the suffrage movement it depicts. So Lelia Brooke goes to London from a small village into Paul Harris's orderly life, shattering his belief that women are gentle creatures who need protection. So she wants to change women's lives by advocating for the vote, free unions, and contraception. Paul, an Anglican priest, has a big ambition of his own to become the youngest dean of St. John's Cathedral. Leela doesn't believe in God, but she's attracted to Paul's intellect, ethics, and dazzling smile. So yes, they're obviously kind of attracted to each other and going into different sects of society, probably with many opposing viewpoints. So that's another one I'm going to put into the pile of I really want to look at. Which reminds me, I bought these books because I want to look at them all, which I do with many of the books. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have time to read all of them. I've stopped getting books out of the library. I've had some new releases come in that I was just dying and chomping at the bit to pick up, but I wouldn't let myself because I really, those books will be available to me after I move. But, you know, if they're on my shelves, let's read those first. Okay, next we have Seafire, and this is by Natalie C. Parker, and it says Sisterhood is Survival. That's probably the title. Oh, look at the inside. Nice, eh? Yes, I'm from Canada, eh? Okay. So this is a trilogy, and this is the first in the trilogy. Heart-stopping trilogy that recalls the undeniable feminine power of Wonder Woman and the... Oh my gosh, these... Blah. I'm sorry, those blurbs just kind of... It's a bit much. Okay, after her family is killed by corrupt warlord Archie Athair and his bloodthirsty army of bullets, Caledonia Styx is left to chart her own course on the dangerous and deadly seas. She captains her ship, the Mors Navis, with a crew of girls and women just like her who have lost their families and homes because of Arctic and his men. The crew has one mission: stay alive and take down Ares' armed and armored fleet. After one of her crew members almost dies, I guess she starts to second guess herself. And I'm not sure about this one. Not always into books that happen on the sea, personally. I like books that are all about sisterhood, of course, which is probably what grabbed me in the title. But yeah, we'll see. That's in the maybe pile. Okay, we have 4 more books. So the next one is called The Brilliant Death by Amy Rose Capetta. A daughter torn between loyalty to her family and owning her power. A debonair orphan with a gift for shape-shifting. A lush, sweeping gender bending. An endlessly surprising love story. Yeah. I'm really hoping that some of you watching this video have read at least one of these books. You can leave a comment down below. That'd be so appreciated for me. The Gold in Her Bones. Wow. So, to protect your home from demons, 1, if you see a snake, kill it, burn it. 2, pour salt where the air comes in, sills, thresholds, and hearths. 3, stay inside after dark, lock tight doors and windows. 4, pray. Hearths or hearths? I don't know why this doesn't sound that appealing, so that's in the, yeah, we'll see pile. I like it when they're easier than others. Some of them I just, I want to read tonight. A Touch of Gold. Gold is wealth. Wealth is power. Power is a curse. Okay. After King Midas's gift or curse almost killed his daughter, he relinquished the touch forever. 10 years later, Princess Cora still bears the consequences of her father's wish. Her skin shines golden. Rumors follow her everywhere she goes, and she harbors secret powers that are getting harder to hide. Because of her unique ability to smell gold, she ends up trying to solve a mystery in this. And yeah, I'm not sure about this one either. So maybe. Okay, the final one. Okay. Schneider Family Book Award, which I'm not familiar with. So this is Your Welcome Universe. Oh, I remember this, by Whitney Gardner. I have a point to prove. I'm not covering up your scribbled slur with just anything. I'm making art here. I'm creating. I'm on fire. So, friends are a liability. Julia learns this the hard way when she covers up a slur about her best friend with a beautiful, albeit illegal, graffiti mural sprayed right across the gymnasium wall of the Kingston School of the Deaf. Her supposed best friend snitches. The principal expels her, and her mom's set Julia up with a one-way ticket to a mainstream school in the suburbs, where she's treated like an outcast as the only deaf student. Out in the burbs, Julia paints everywhere she can, eager to claim some turf of her own, a tag on a sign, a piece on an overpass. But she soon learns that she might not be the only vandal in town. Someone is adding to her tags, making them better, showing off, and showing Julia up in the process. She expected her art might get painted over by cops, but she never imagined it getting dragged into a graffiti war. Now Julia must risk arrest and expulsion to go toe-to-toe with her rival, or face losing the only piece of her identity that still exists. This is a keeper. I already know reading this. I think I'm going to, well, you know what? Just to make sure, I'm going to put it in the pile that I definitely, there's some books I think I need to read a couple chapters. I mentioned that at the beginning of this video. And I think I need to do that with some just to make sure. But I even like the layout of this book. So it has little like entries throughout of showing how to do graffiti. And then there's, so interspersed with, okay, well, this just totally answered if this was appropriate for my daughter. Absolutely not. It just has different formats throughout, which that's just normal kind of writing. But then they have, I'll show you something else. Oh, okay. I love it when they, I love it when books kind of shake up how they're presenting things. And there's a few illustrations throughout. Okay, I would like to, Whitney Gardner, that name is familiar, the author. Yeah. Okay, this one for sure is going in the pile. Yeah, I have decided in the middle of this video that I am going to spend a day going through a stack of books where I read just a couple chapters to see if I can get a feel for the book and if I like the book. I'm curious to know how much you have to read before you can really get a feel. I think it's probably going to depend on the book, but because I know some that with the first chapter, I know I'm going to hate the writing style, but sometimes I'm not quite sure. So maybe I need some parameters. I have to think about that. I have to absolutely love it after the first chapter or two. Anyways, those are all the books I'm going to share, and look for a future video with books. I'm not sure if I'll stick to just YA for that video because I have tons of books that I might have to make that decision for. So we'll see how many books I end up with and what that translates to video. But if that interests you, what books am I checking and which books am I moving? Definitely make sure you're subscribed. And again, any feedback you have for the books, I would be very grateful for. And I will see you soon with another video.